This program is brought to you by Pussy Magnets.
Put a midge on your fridge with a pussy magnet.
Welcome, my lovely lumps. Or should I say lovely labs? I'm so thrilled to have you here in the Labia Lounge. We're going to yarn about all things sexuality, womanhood, relationships, intimacy, holistic health, and everything in between. Your legs. Ooh, can't help myself. Anyway, we're going to have vag loads of real chats with real people about real shit. So buckle up, you're about to receive the sex ed that you never had and have a bloody good laugh while you're at it. Before we dive in, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. It's an absolute privilege to be living and creating dope podcast content in Naarm, and I pay respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. Now, if you're ready, let's flap and do this. Oh my God, is there such thing as too many vagina jokes in the one intro? Whatever, it's my podcast. I'm leaving it in.
Don't panic, you're not broken. Your sex education was a piece of shit. Get your flaps out and pull up a couch. It's the Labia Lounge.
Hey gang, just before we jump into this episode, I wanted to offer you an opportunity to access my new mini course for free before I start charging for it in future. It's for people with vulvas and it's quick to complete. It's all about demystifying the female body and pleasure anatomy and getting some basic fundamentals to understand your body better. It's called Pussy Pleasure Secrets, Your Roadmap to Bedroom Bliss. You can grab it on the freebies page of my website or in the show notes. It's a great little free resource to kind of dip your toe in or act as a bit of a taster for my work. So if you've ever been curious about this sort of thing and you just don't know where to start, or you want a really quick, easy, accessible, non-threatening way to get the ball rolling and start working on this stuff, this is a great place to start. Hey labial love bumps, welcome back to the lounge. This is a really extra special fucking absolute bumper of an episode. It's probably the longest episode I've ever recorded. I was slightly torn as to whether to break it into two parts or do one long episode, but I just thought, fuck, come on. I mean, you guys are adults. You can just press pause if you need to and finish it on the next long drive that you go on. So I've just left it as one really chunky episode. Basically, if you haven't listened to my episode interviewing the organizer of Virtue and Vice play parties, I would highly recommend going back and listening to that. It's called Behind the Scenes of a Play Party with Virtue and Vice. I also did an episode kind of debriefing on my first play party experience called Vanilla Queen Goes to Her First Sex Party, or something like that, I think. And that'll give you a bit of a setup so, you understand the context and the space that I was at for this episode. But basically, Virtue and Vice were generous enough to involve me in their latest event and invite me to come and set up the live interactive Labia Lounge space where I got to interview party goers. So I had a couple of incredible chats with some consent angels that are staff who are employed by the event to basically be sex party lifeguards and just make sure that everything's unfolding in a really consensual and safe way and look out for all of the guests. And then I also had a few chats with party goers who were generous with their time and their vulnerable shares to come and tell me about their kinks and different stories that they had to share. And I think you'll really find it so fascinating to hear about everything from anal fisting to pregnancy kinks to mummification to sperm donation and kind of everything in between. It was really, really cool to chat with these people, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity. It just feels like the community that I tapped into is such a special and robust one that I didn't even know kind of existed because I'm not in that play party or kink space. But the amount of beautiful humans that were just so sex positive and body positive and open-minded and kind of free and liberated from any shackles of stigma or taboo or sexual shame was really incredible. Just all of those people in the one place having a fun time. and supporting one another to have a fun time and explore their sexuality in such an empowered way. Pretty rare and pretty cool. So stick it out to the end because every single conversation is so valuable and fascinating in its own way. I know it's a long one, but as I said, you can just always press pause and get back to the rest later. But I really want to encourage you to honor the entire episode and listen to everyone's share. Enjoy.
I'm good.
Lovely. So you've got the brief about how this all kind of goes down. I mean, you're welcome to join as well, if you want to. So fair. You just. Cool. So basically, just gonna ask some questions.
Okay.
I'm kind of just trying to get some stories out of people, and I suppose hear a little bit about your journey with getting involved in this scene and why you come to these events and what you get from it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How did I get involved? I don't know. I think maybe the first kink party event that I went to, I would have been quite young, probably maybe 20. Yeah.
And did you always have a curiosity and know that you had a kinky side, or was it a bit of a?
Yeah. Well, I am a sex worker, and so spent a lot of time kind of in the sex industry, and I guess learnt that my sexuality was something that I think kink is something that I get to explore that's just my sexuality and not something that I am giving to other people or commodifying.
Work.
It's not work. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's fun to kind of lean in to my own.
Yeah. So with your sex work, you keep it relatively
Yeah, it's
straight
relatively.
up and down.
I mean, there's obviously, little, but I wouldn't go too deep into kink in
Okay.
a workspace. Yeah.
Love not mixing work and pleasure, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you don't mind me asking, what's your kink?
What's my kink?
Or kinks.
What are my kinks?
Yeah.
So many things.
Lay it on me.
Lay it all on you.
Yeah, lay it on me.
I've recently been leaning into really find pregnancy really hot.
Okay, you find
Yeah.
pregnancy hot?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
I saw
hot.
an amazingly pregnant woman here tonight.
Yeah.
Painted
Same.
belly.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Have you chatted
Yeah.
to them yet?
No, I haven't. But I did notice across the room.
I clocked that.
I clocked it too.
Hottest bitch in here.
Yeah. I was
At least 8.5 months preggies.
Please. Yeah. Leaning into that. That's kind of new, a new space that I've been
Cool.
exploring. I also have recently, I guess, been exploring. I've only dated women and non-binary people myself, and recently been exploring sleeping with men for free. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, I'm what are your kinks? I was well, sleeping with men is
And
pretty out there
pregnant
for me.
women. Yeah, sleeping with fucking men and pregnant women. Yeah, but I don't know what other kinks am I don't know what kinks am I into.
Wearing a collar.
Yeah, that's fresh.
Wearing a collar.
Yeah. Normally I would kind of be a little bit toppy.
Do you want to come a little closer? Yeah. I mean, it's all very unintimidating here.
Yeah, cool,
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
talk to her kinks.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Oh, good
Are you
voice.
comfortable? Thank you. Yeah, voice made for podcasts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely a possessiveness and a very, very willing sub.
Yeah.
Loves to just please and do whatever needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one around. We're going. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I don't know what you're about to say.
Loves cum.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
that's
sperm
also-
just
yeah.
everywhere.
I guess it
on-
goes with the pregnancy.
Yeah. It's all maybe a bit of a definitely a breeding
a little
kink.
bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's plenty there.
So breeding kink, as in it's not just the pregnant person that's a turn on, it's the thought of conceiving, the thought of this jizz could turn into a baby.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want kids one day?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I've always thought baby making sex would be the fucking hottest sex ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
stop.
happy
It's
to
not just an orgasm. It's
pretend.
yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's-
Actually, maybe that is. I think of myself
Maybe,
as being
yeah.
so vanilla, but I'm
No
nah.
one's vanilla.
Sometimes, if I have been in a really loving, committed relationship, I just imagine that we're making a baby, even though we're not.
Yeah.
And it's extra hot.
It's so hot. It's so hot. I'm please put a baby
It's
in me.
not that. Yeah, and then you can talk through it. The kink is talking about
The
it while you're
talking,
doing
yeah.
it too. Not just the idea.
So,
I'm going to put a baby in you. You would look like a good mum. Yeah, you would
You'd
look
be
good
so
with my
hot
baby
pregnant.
inside you.
Yeah.
I'm going to come deep inside you. So all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
I think I found my kink.
Yeah.
I love
part of
that.
this journey.
Because it's also like praise. It's like you would be the best mom.
Yeah.
Like I love you so much. I want to like make you the mother of my children.
Yeah.
I think I'm also like slightly anxiously attached. So the thought of like being locked down with a baby
Yeah.
is like nice. You want to do life
really
together?
committed,
Ooh.
We're either doing it together or co-parenting, one of the two.
Yeah. So like we are in deep. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
Sick.
fun.
So like, do you have other kinks separate?
For myself, all sorts. Back to your line on you think you're vanilla. I don't believe anyone's vanilla. I just think they haven't found their own kink or fetish.
Yeah.
They just haven't explored enough stuff.
I'd say you're probably on the money there. And it's like, I just think like you just need an entry point. I think I feel pretty vanilla because I'm aware of, I guess I'm in the sexuality industry too, so I know like the breadth of things that go on, and I'm like, in comparison to that, I'm super vanilla. However, like if you're with the right person and at the right time, the right mood, and they give you the keys to the castle and they're really into something and you're turned on because they're into it, it's like I've just only been with other pretty vanilla people, so no one's kind of like held my hand and led me into that world. But I think, by this point, I'm pretty aware how fluid sexuality can be, and that like anything can, it's like you can get into most things, I feel like. Anyway, so your
My
kinks?
kinks, all sorts. Recently, as in like the last year, for me, edging. But edging, it has to have real world consequence. So I'm on the whole pregnancy thing. I'm donating sperm at the moment.
Okay.
So donate to the Royal Women's Hospital. You can't masturbate for a few days beforehand.
Oh.
So, but I have an appointment. So playing around with that idea, I think is quite a bit of fun. It's like literally the night before I can't, because then I've ruined this appointment and I've spent time in not ejaculating before doing it. So that's 100% my thing. It's amazing. Love it.
Great.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Because it's like even more, forbidden fruit. Like you really can't be.
Yeah, it shouldn't. Yeah, like if I don't, I've wasted the hospital's time. I've taken a slot there. I've wasted my own time in abstaining for a few days, which.
Have you ever fucked up and?
No, but got super close with someone I was seeing. But it was hot, like it was amazing. Yeah, it was so good. Yeah, so thoroughly enjoy that.
And but couldn't you just not tell them that you came? Because it's just about sperm count, right?
No, you're donating sperm, so you need to donate a certain. Well, you choose how many families you're donating to. So you can choose how many donations you'll do up to. You can do up to 8, 9. Well, you can do up to 10, but they say do 8 or 9. 8 or 9 families, and a family is in a family that can receive that sperm gets a bunch, so they can have as many kids as they want with your sperm.
Yeah.
So you need, for that family, you need a certain amount of sperm.
Yeah.
So I'm doing 8. So if every time I
8
donate
loads?
8 families, which if you follow the rules is 8 loads, but if you came early, the sperm hasn't produced enough, and then you donate and it might be half a family, so you have to donate again.
So they're getting kind of ripped off if they've only got like half a load with like a low sperm count.
And it means I have to go back again and I have to keep abstaining. Like I've done it 7 times now or something, and the abstination is painful.
Oh, that's so
because
wild.
I can't do it. I'm not supposed to. I can go days without masturbating, but because I'm told I can't, it's
100%,
worse.
100%.
Yeah.
So, and there's a limit to how many families you can. Is it 8?
Just
Is
from
that
a genetic.
the limit?
They say you can do 10, but they say just do 8. I'm pretty sure it's a genetic pool thing, like making sure that your kids. Yeah. So then if I change my mind, because I don't want kids, if I change my mind and have kids, I take up the 9th or 10th slot effectively from a safety perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was that thing a while back where the doctor was just using his own
Crazy.
sperm.
There's a whole Netflix documentary about
true,
it.
yeah. So like what made you just want to do that?
Well, I don't want kids, and I'm going to after this get a vasectomy. But I know through unfortunate situations, my sperm is very effective. So I know it works. And also genetically, like our family, there's on either side, there's like no hereditary diseases.
So it's like your duty, basically.
Yeah.
If you're not going to fucking procreate, at least chop us out
help
some
someone out.
jizz.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Come on.
Neil takes it for free as part of her kink, but these people are taking it for procreation. Yeah.
Yeah. And there is a real shortage, especially in Caucasian
100%.
sperm.
Is there?
There's a huge waiting list, or at least there was.
Yeah,
I had an ex
yeah.
who I got him to donate some to a friend of ours because she wanted to have a baby by herself. But and she had looked into doing it the kind of mainstream route through a
Yeah.
proper place, and it was like a 2-year wait. She joined all these Facebook groups around sperm donor conception and whatever.
Yeah.
And there was like a massive shortage. There was a big waiting list. There was a whole
Was
thing.
that recently, like last
It was
years?
probably 3 years ago now.
Yeah, so the shortage has happened, and this is what motivated me to donate more. The shortage happened, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. The laws changed around anonymity of the donor.
Okay.
So now, when I donate, when the child that's been conceived through sperm donation, when they hit 18, they can get my details.
Okay.
So that's part of, you do a whole two counselling sessions to make sure you appreciate that and understand that. But that reduced donation because men were like,
Yeah.
I'm happy to donate, but I don't want some kid knocking on my door when they
Yep.
turn 18, which,
Yep.
like, fair enough, it's their choice.
Fair enough.
So yeah, sperm donation dropped off significantly, but recently, fortunate timing for me, I'm donating to the Royal Women's Hospital because I think it's a little bit problematic outside of that because you're donating to private companies, they're private hospitals and private organisations, and they're profiting from my altruistic deed, which I think's fucked.
Because you're not allowed to pay
you're not allowed to
someone
get
for
paid,
sperm.
Yeah. So I'm taking time out. I'm donating my sperm. Like
You're fucking
it's-
aging for like 3 days
Yeah,
beforehand.
outrageous, which is hot for me, so it's all right.
Which I've now developed a kink on, but like still, it's a principle.
And then someone makes money off my sperm. I just think that's fucked.
Nah, fuck those guys.
And it's very expensive. So the Royal Women's is public, and it'll give access to people that can't afford it but still want to do it. So
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening to this, I don't know if this is actually going to go live.
Oh,
and
it
you're
will.
A mate, okay, cool.
It will.
If you're a man, donate Royal Women's Hospital. It's legit. It's the people there are wonderful. I've never been someone so appreciative, other than the person that was speaking earlier, for my cum. Like everyone's like,
Yeah,
oh,
no doubt.
Everyone's like, because you can be there for multiple reasons going through this. It's a long process. And once they find out I'm a sperm donor, everyone's been like, oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you're
Whoa.
donating. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Fuck donating blood. Donate sperm,
Donate
guys.
sperm. Yeah, you get to rub one out. And it's a bit weird because you go into this room.
Yeah, come on, talk me through it. That
Oh,
was like-
yeah. So you go to the Royal Women's Hospital, you go to this little counter, and I now know the woman there. It's the same one every time. So we have a little conversation. It's the same one every time.
We've got a thing.
She's cute. And I have
Knew it.
masturbated in the room thinking
You know
about her
they've-
coming in.
Well, you know they've staffed it accordingly because she's totally helping the process.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, just gets you warmed up. So we have a conversation, exchange forms, and whenever are you going to be in a situation like this in a medical context where they both know you're going to go into a room, masturbate, and orgasm.
Yeah.
Like it's just weird. And then you go in and you come out with this little thing, like you've been 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is. You come out and you give them a container of your sperm. It's the strangest experience. You make eye contact with someone, you both know what's happened, and you just don't talk
Does
about
she have any like kind of lines, like little jokes that she cheekily says
No,
as you
but-
hand over a jar
But one
of your
time she
cum?
complimented. Yeah, no, they're very professional. There's gloves, and you know
Lame.
what? I hope it's okay. There was a TV in there, and I'm like, oh, this must just be really
Oh, for
old because,
porn.
like, yeah. And I'm like, how do you do it? Like, do you Chromecast to it or whatever? Turns out I didn't realize until like donation 4 or 5. There's a hard drive attached to the computer, and there's porn on it.
Oh my god.
So many
Well-
questions. Who chose it? Like, was it James in the IT?
Curated.
Yeah, James in the IT department. He got a brief, like a ticket come through saying, "Hey James, we need porn." And you know what is really nice about it? It's very diverse and inclusive. There's men on men, women on women, trans, age, cross sort of.
Maybe they hired like a sexuality professional
Maybe,
to
yeah.
curate a playlist.
And the naming convention on the files is really good too. Like it's like MMF, you know.
I love that because
It's
I
brilliant.
almost thought, because you said the TV was really old, and I almost thought you were going to say there was like a VHS,
I
like a
wanted
DVD
that,
with
yeah.
just like Pirates of the Caribbean porno. Like,
I totally wanted that. I was hoping that to be the case.
I was here for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's cool.
So yeah, you go in and you do your thing, and then you go back and give them a little thing. But when I was there once, maybe the second time, the woman at the desk started complimenting on things I was wearing. I reckon we're on.
I reckon you're
She's
on.
like, because I ride a motorbike and I was there on a motorbike, and she's like, oh, you ride a motorbike? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I really like your helmet. My helmet is so boring. It's just a black helmet. So like, she was
Dude.
clearly looking for something to compliment me on.
Oh my god, obviously.
So I think that fantasy I have in there, like when I'm donating and her coming in, might be a reality.
I reckon that's her fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, she probably goes, I know it's all very professional when she's there.
Yeah.
She fucking for sure tells her
Rubs one
friends
out,
about,
yeah.
oh, okay,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
maybe.
yeah, tells her friends,
But
yeah.
she for sure is like, yeah, so that's like this cute guy rides a motorcycle. Like,
Yeah.
you should see the size of his load. It's
Yeah.
like 2/3 full. I don't know. You can tell he definitely didn't break the rules and accidentally ejaculate before he came in, so like respects the rules.
And he's donating sperm. He's clearly a nice guy.
I know,
Yeah.
like that's up there with like organ donor shit, man. Like what an absolute Samaritan.
It's not hard. Like if you compare it to egg donation, like you're just going like
fuck
whole
that.
thing.
Oh
like
my
women
God.
always have it harder. We just go and
Or like
orgasm
just
until
straight up surrogate pregnancy.
Yeah,
Like,
mental.
Yeah,
Use your whole body
yeah.
to give a baby to someone.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. We probably shouldn't be bigging you up quite so much for
Nah,
choosing in a cup.
Just a man doing the bare minimum again.
With like the cute receptionist
Yeah.
and like, jeez.
And it's-
Sounds like a porno in itself, honestly.
And it's in the middle of my workday too, so I just go out for lunch and run one out and come back to office. Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that.
a lot of fun.
So are you pretty much wrapped up? Have you almost done your all of your families now?
Yeah, I've got 1 or 2 donations left, provided the loads are good. Yeah.
Quality?
Yeah,
Okay,
they give you
and
updates afterwards. And
so they
you know
check,
what
like, the
they call
motility?
sperm? They call them straws.
What?
How disgusting is that? Like how many sperm straws you've donated? Yuck.
Why straws?
Don't know. It must be how they store it or something. But like the idea of a sperm straw, like
It's it
drinking
sounds
your
slurpy.
yeah, yuck.
I don't know about that.
Nah, I think this person over here might like it.
Totally. Actually,
Very.
like a friend of mine who's been on this podcast, we did an episode kind of about it where he talked about how he got really into eating his own cum.
Wow.
Because we had dated and I got into the tantric world and all of a sudden sperm is like life force energy and chi
Yeah,
and
wow,
it's a
of
gift, you
course,
don't want to
yeah,
waste
yeah.
a drop of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So then he was like, well, I don't want to waste all of this amazing energy and like zinc and whatever. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
he
it's
would
good
like
for you.
start to he just would take. And then he got to a point where he was like, I feel like it's a waste if I come inside someone, so I'd prefer to do it on their tummy and scoop it up.
Wow.
And sometimes when I come on someone's like body, I kind of like pause for a second. I'm like, are you
How's this
gonna
gonna go down?
eat that
Yeah,
or
like
can
you're
I
gonna-
have
Yeah,
it?
you're done with your crusts, like. Wow. Good
So
for
maybe
them.
he'd be down with a sperm straw.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Yeah.
That's so good. That's such
Yeah.
a sick story. I didn't know I was going to get this
There you
juicy
go.
fucking story
Yep.
out of you tonight. I've had a couple of great ones already
Awesome,
where
cool.
I'm just like, I never know what I'm going to ask someone and how I'm going to get the juice out of them.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Yep.
But like, yeah, it seems
Cool.
this is a good space for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. People come here, they're not boring for sure.
No. All right. So like, last little question. I'll let you
Sure.
get back to it. Like, how did you find yourself in these spaces? Do you come to this sort of thing much? Like, is it a big part of your sexuality, the kink space? Do you still enjoy regular old vanilla sex, or do you feel like you need some sort of kink or fantasy or role play or something to kind of get ultimately turned on? Just like give me a rundown.
A lot of questions there.
Yeah, sorry, there was heaps.
Getting turned on, nah, like I don't have any fetishes as such, like, but nah, I don't need kink. Like if someone's, like if the connection's there and it's like we're into each other, awesome. That's all I need, yeah. But I do like exploring kink because it's exciting and I love seeing new people unlock kinks for themselves. Hot. Thoroughly enjoy it. Someone, like you see someone, what I like in particular is, I'm a bit switchy, so a woman who clearly has a bit of dom energy, but because of especially hetero women, how they're told that, you should be submissive, giving them a little bit of taste for it and seeing them go like, you see, like if I'm like choke me or slap me, and then they do it and you see their eyes just be like power, like just it's hot.
Thrill.
Yeah, and I've unlocked that in them. Amazing, love it. So much fun.
nice.
Yeah.
This is another community service that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm just saying. In terms of getting
Sperm slinging.
yeah, sperm slinging. In terms of getting into it, yeah, just like through friends. Someone I was seeing invited me to a private party, and just that was like ground zero for me for meeting a bunch of people. And yeah, I love the community. I know so many people here. So
And do you hang out with them outside of these events, or it's just you see them so often?
yeah, I've
at
got
the
some
events?
really good mates now from outside of this. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just my type of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
easy to connect with them outside of this. Typically
Yeah.
pretty progressive people.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
Good communication.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
non-judgmental.
Probably non-monogamous, so having that sort of support
Yeah.
network's really handy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Fuck yeah, amazing. Thank
Yeah,
you.
cool. No problems.
Asking people like if they have any kinks and what they are, why they love these sorts of events and come to them, like what you get out of them, anything like that you'd like to share.
My number one kink is dirty talk, which can be a little bit difficult in this space because it's quite loud. It's like, what? But no, that's my number one. light impact play, things like that, definitely. I'm more of a sapiosexual, so sometimes I need that connection, that banter before I can play, so I don't tend to play a lot at these events. But I'm also, I do the archangeling, the consent angeling for a lot of the big events as well. So I'll go to these and I won't play usually when I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I come because I want to look after my community and make sure everyone's okay and everyone's safe and everyone's enjoying themselves, and I get a lot from it.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Have you had many kind of experiences when you've been on the job that have been super challenging or confronting?
Absolutely, yeah. You have those lucky nights when you don't get too much going on, but you'd be really surprised what actually does happen. And I think when I tell people that, there was, it was a rough night that night, consent angeling, I get a lot of surprised looks, and for that means that that's a good thing. That means that we've succeeded in what we wanted to do. Because as far as I'm concerned, nobody else should feel that. No one else should know that there's anything going on. So that's a win for me. Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable sharing any positions that you've been in where it has been really challenging and confronting and you've had to navigate that in the moment?
We've had a few shockers, and usually it's, you somehow a single man has gotten in and he was not in the right space. Those are always the most challenging ones. But for me, I think it's probably more so, and this is also the most rewarding as well, but one of the most challenging is when I see, people, whether they be in the community or not, whether they be new, get quite overwhelmed. And what happens is with the consent angeling, they'll have a touch point. And I always worry about the events that kind of don't have that consent angel, that touch point for people, how that might be an issue. So that's probably challenging for me in the respect that I feel for them and I feel that they're sort of going through it. But it's also a massive win because I know that, I've helped out and they've had that space that sometimes you don't get at certain events. So
Yeah, cool. Yeah, amazing. It's just super interesting to me, hearing about this world, because I suppose I'm very new to it and it's not really my world, but it just sounds like the biggest thing that people appreciate about it is the community and the safety and the connection. Yeah. Even though a lot of normcore mainstream people on the outside of these communities might see it as incredibly daunting and intense and scary and overwhelming. For a lot of people here, it's the safest, most nurturing, nourishing.
That's right. So that's a really good point because I'm very open with my lifestyle. So my family know, my co-workers know. I made it a point to be very open and honest about everything because I want to help normalise it. Because as you said, this is the most safe that I feel. I haven't played in a year. So I don't come to these events for that. I come to these events for the connection. If you go out to a nightclub right now, you're going to meet some shockers. And when you're here, it's 99% of people are just not that. They're open-minded, they're connected, and those are the people I want to surround myself with. So it's not about the play, it's not about the sex, it's not about that for me anyway. I just love being around good people.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, you're not going to believe this, I actually took my mum to a swingers bar recently. Yes, she visited from Thailand. And she was terrified. And she turned around to me the other night. She said, you know what? You're surrounding yourself with such good people. I've never felt more safe. And to hear that from my 70-year-old mother, it was just incredible. And God. It was a huge experience for her. And she's gone back, just telling all of her friends and... that's what I want, that normalisation. Now she's I thought it was going to be seedy and gross. And she's it's not that at all. And I said, yes, that's it. So it was such a huge, incredible experience to share that with my mum. Of all people. I know some people would be like, what? But she, honestly, she made so many friends and everyone was so open-minded about it. And,
oh my God.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So when you say swingers bar, so just a regular bar, but a lot of swingers frequent it?
No,
are there sex
it's
on premises?
Specifically a sex on premises swingers bar, but it's a wine bar, right? So I don't know if, I did take her to an event like this, but it was a start of the night just so she can meet the people who run it because I angel for them. And then she left. But the swingers bar, it was a lot different because she could sit down in the wine bar area and didn't have to go upstairs to that quite confront. Although I tell you what, a woman did take her upstairs for a quick roundabout, and she came down with her jaw on the ground, going, "Oh my goodness!"
So she saw people having sex.
Yeah,
up there?
she did.
How did she handle
Oh my
it?
God, like an absolute champ. I was worried and I thought, Mummy, is short. She's like, no, I just want to see. And she went out, she came down and they all applauded in the wine bar. It was the best moment, honestly. It was so great.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, it was honestly, she's gone back and like my mum and I, we tend to fight a lot because we're very similar, but this is one of the first trips that I just felt so connected to her. So I'm actually a bit sad the last week since she's gone because we just built this new connection that I never thought we would. Yeah, it was really incredible.
That's insane because you sort of said, I'm really making it my business to normalize and to not be in the closet about this and to just try to. And next minute you're taking your 7-year-old mum to a like you are actually not fucking around.
I'm not fucking around.
And
like,
that's so beautiful.
It is a little risky because I do work in corporate, but you'd be really surprised with how open they've been as well. Like everyone's just like, and
so
they
you
have
tell all your work.
Absolutely. I've been
Great.
I feel like I really, I need to walk the walk and talk the talk,
That's incredible.
It's not a seedy place. It's not what you would think about when you think about swingers bars and things.
Yeah.
I think it used to be. I think the community sort of used to be like that.
Yeah.
But now with, the new generation and the consent angeling and it all being about consent and, that's the main thing, it's a different world.
Oh my God.
And I want to share that,
And the people who aren't in this scene, hearing you speaking so openly about it and being the person you are, so approachable and like communicative and sort of straight up, they would have a rare opportunity to ask follow-up questions about a world that they don't understand. And you can just, it would get draining occasionally, I imagine, just busting all the misconceptions.
Well, yes. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating, but also what a beautiful outcome when they, I have actually had people into the scene because they've been, curious at first, and then next thing you know, there's, one of your colleagues over getting spanked. It's incredible. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really fucking cool. Good on you. That's such a like courageous and important and like just a community service, isn't it?
I think so.
Like seriously.
Yeah, I communicate a lot of my time, so I want to make it worthwhile. Yeah.
Epic. Yay. Oh my God. Well, thank you.
No, my pleasure.
I should let you get.
Hey, baby babes. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to pop my head into the lounge here and mention another virtual lounge that I'd love you to get around. It's the Labia Lounge Facebook group that I've created for listeners of the potty to mingle in. There you'll find extra bits and bobs like freebies, behind the scenes, or discounts for offerings from guests who have been interviewed on the podcast. There'll also be, hopefully, inspiring, thought-provoking conversations and support from a community of labial legends like yourself. My vision for this is that it becomes a really supportive, educational and hilarious resource for you to have more access to me and a safe space to ask questions you can't ask anywhere else. So head over to the links in the show notes or look up the Labia Lounge group in Facebook and I'll see you in there. And now, back to the episode.
So how long have you been doing the Consent Angel thing? What's your kind of background with this space?
So I sort of fell into it. I attended the first Virtue and Vice as an angel through a mutual friend. I'm actually from about 300 kilometres away. So I travelled down for these events.
Wow.
And me being like a severely anxious person, couldn't find a world where I could attend one of these events by myself, especially being as a cis male. They're not necessarily for me or my environment, but it's an environment that resonates with me.
Because, for context, because with these events, usually if you're a cis male and you're coming as a single person, you can't buy a ticket. You have to be brought along by a group or in a couple.
Yeah, because they've been problematic in the past and it's easier.
Yeah, okay.
I now have a partner and could attend as a duo if I wish, but the community really resonates with me, and the silly jokes and the support and the love everyone has for each other is really nice.
Aww, that's so nice. As in like the crew, so do you work with the same Consent Angels and the same crew for like multiple events? Is it just for Virtue and Vice or there's other sex parties or kink events?
Just, as far as I know, just for Virtue and Vice, that's as far as I've gone.
Yeah.
you see a lot of familiar faces, but then you also begin to recognize people that come in through the crowd, or you see the people that you follow on social media because they're super into latex, and that's cool. And then you're on door and you're like, hey, I really like your stuff. I think this is awesome. Welcome. But it's a connection to a world that I wouldn't have had, especially since being from, I guess, regional Australia, like regional Victoria.
Yeah, fucking oath. I grew up in a little town called Yea.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
nice.
Also, 2 hours out of Melbourne, not quite 3, but so I feel you. It's like it must have been such a magical and exciting moment to discover this community and then find your like foot in the door opportunity as a consent angel. And so, but then do you get to, are you just on duty all night at these events, or do you get to participate?
You definitely can participate. It's sort of a, I guess the onus is on, if you notice someone doing something wrong or something that's unsafe, that you can shut that down right there and just with a polite word be like, hey, don't do that. Or there's a situation that arises or someone's not okay. We are always having an eye out for that and can fix a problem before it comes one. But if you want to play, then you can play. That is entirely an option as well.
Right. Do you have to tag team with like the other angels just to make sure you're not all fucking at the same time and not keeping your eyes peeled?
So we have a roster. Everyone does an hour shift.
Yeah, cool.
And if people want to go early or if people are arriving late because life,
Yep.
people can adjust as needed.
Cool. And then actually, that makes sense because I met a couple of the archangels earlier, and they're overseeing the team and they're on duty all night.
That
right?
is correct.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Cool.
It's so cool.
Oh my god. So, how long ago was it that you started getting into this scene, and was it really confronting to begin with, or did you just dive straight in, or?
I guess like as a young teenage boy, I had like the worst relationship with sex. Like watching porn's like learning to drive from a Fast and Furious movie. It's just not the right way to do it. So there's been a huge amount of unlearning and then relearning the appropriate ways to do things, and it was never unsafe, but there was definitely misconceptions I would have had. And being in this environment's been a really good way to relearn and feel supported, and as someone who doesn't have a lot of self-confidence, being able to wear an outfit and someone look you up and down and smile, like that's just fucking mint. I love that so much. And it's not something I would probably get in day to day.
Yeah.
Or the confidence to talk to people is not something I'd have day to day, but there's something about in this environment that works for me.
Yeah. I love that.
It's amazing. And even being, if a wombat was a human being, being able to dress a little bit femme sometimes at events, like I think I wore a skirt to the last event, and that's just fun. And it's not something I would do in my day-to-day life, being from a small town where word spreads.
Yeah, it wouldn't be worth it. The risk and reward with that sort of thing, fuck that. I know, it's really tough, so it's great that you have spaces and a bit of an outlet for that more creative side or the more feminine side, or I think it's so beautiful and important that there are spaces like that for that reason. And it reminds me of this cosplay after dark rave that I went to in Perth. So they'd noticed they would running these cosplay conventions during the day, and the stall that was getting like smashed the most was like the drag and dildos and the sex toy, like the cosplay sex toy stalls and stuff. And so I think the organizer kind of was like, oh, maybe we should do like a bit of an after dark kind of party after the daytime convention's over, and we can have the more like sexy stalls, we can have the more sexy costumes, we can get DJs, and so I was like, well, I really want to fucking go to that. That sounds dope.
Fucking awesome, eh?
And it was so special because it's also like I'm such a tourist. Like it's not my scene, it's not my thing. I'm very inexperienced with. This is the second play party I've ever been to. I'm super vanilla. Yep. Thank you. I'm super open-minded and non-judgmental, but I just, it's not something that I've ever gotten into. But I was like, oh, I love the sound of that. Let's go to that as like a cool experience. Yep. And it was so special because so many of these like beautiful, anxious, neurodivergent people who are the nerds, who are like they just they had a safe space
Exactly.
to like take some pingers and do some cool dancing or like connect or like play video games literally in the space. There was all sorts of zones. It was really fucking like special seeing these people in their costumes having an awesome time and feeling safe to just be their authentic selves.
Yeah.
In like a social party environment catered specifically to them, where there weren't really any like outsider people that were gonna be unsafe to be around.
Yeah.
And they don't have many spaces like that. It's like I get to go to bars or clubs, not that I don't go to clubs. who am I fucking kidding? But I go to lots of festivals.
Yeah.
And just lots more sort of social spaces are a little bit more kind of catered to, I don't know, the more mainstream or the more vanilla of us. And so, and I have some of the most like beautiful connected like peak experiences at a festival on a dance floor around friends.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm stoked that there's this like really cute, wholesome, raunchy space for all of these amazing kind of people that are into things that's slightly more fringe and that they don't get to actually express nearly as often as they
And there's
want.
there's no judgment.
Yeah.
And that's like the most amazing thing about it.
Yeah.
And like, if you are vanilla, that's totally fine because no one's going to yuck your yum. And you don't have to be into the extreme shit. If you are and you're practicing it good and safely, that's incredible for people that are curious. But everyone's just themselves. And we're all here for the same. You don't end up here accidentally. There's no dickheads because they don't last long.
Yeah.
Like, and people communicate. If people communicated in my day-to-day life half as well they did at these events,
yeah.
my day job would be the easiest thing in the world. I would
Yeah.
be so much happier.
I know, dude. I know. There's so many, like, you could take so many leaves out of the book of kink and BDSM worlds and play, like, it just requires such a level of, like, mature communication that, like, day-to-day life, you know, people can kind of get away without doing that, and it sucks because it would make the world a better place if everyone communicated at this level and, like, was sort of intentional and conscious about, yeah, all the things. So I feel you. That's cool.
It's amazing.
So how have you gone? You said like when you were younger, sex was quite complex for you and like challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Was that, do you think, largely due to porn? Was it due to social anxiety, body image stuff, like all of it?
All
Yeah.
of it. So I would begin like, I'm bisexual, and it took me a long time to be even comfortable with that. And it began with like accepting that this is something that I'm interested in, and this is an aspect of me that's probably not going to change, so I may as well accept it. Then researching that, and then I guess talking to people. So Passion Fruit Sensuality, they were amazing with treating me like a human being and doing things safely and going through the process. And from that, in building through to kink and this world is a lot of self-esteem. There's a huge, my psychologist, because therapy is amazing, is really open with talking and going that, yeah, you do deserve these things, and you can see that in your day-to-day life you overcompensate to other people because of your lack of self-esteem. And I have struggled really in my day-to-day life in rectifying that. And the only way I've been able to make any inroads or progress on that is through this kink world and sex, and going, actually, you need to communicate this. You're allowed to like this. You're allowed to ask for things. It's really important that you learn to do that. So for me, it's been really amazing being able to make progress with something I find really hard with through this world that I've stumbled in accidentally, but everyone's amazing and communicates like a human being should.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like so many people that aren't in this scene would see it as quite daunting and intimidating and really scary. But you found so much safety and like respite in this community.
An incredible amount.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
It's hard to, like, I guess for me, the first boudoir I went to was my first ever event. So for me, taking control of that was, they need people to help at 5 o'clock for the setup. I'm going to go in the daytime. I'm going to meet these people as people, and then they'll change into their kinky selves. And having that, seeing the venue in the day and then evolving into the evening was amazing. And there's still people I see that I cuddled with on a couch that night. And I still remember that so fondly, of just talking and watching the most incredible threesome opposite us. But it was so wholesome and wasn't being used. It was just a genuine conversation, getting to know someone while watching this stuff that I never thought I would ever see happen.
Yeah.
And since then, I think I've introduced 4 or 5 different people to this event, and they've all had good experiences. And for me, that's magic, because despite being a cis male who looks like a wombat, because that's just the best way to describe it.
I don't know, I think you're rocking a bit more like handsome vibes than wombat vibes.
Hey, wombat's my favourite animal. It's 100%.
Wombats are great. Wombats are great.
100% a compliment to me, but thank you. Like, to be able to introduce people to this space where it is safe, it's predominantly for femmes and thems, where they don't have to worry about predatory people as much. There's that safety net of the angels and security, and people care about each other genuinely. It's just the best, because so many people don't have that.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah. Did you meet your partner at one of these things?
No, so this is her actual first event.
Oh, so she's here?
She's here tonight.
Wow.
That's her first event.
Cool.
And it's really nice being, like, we have spent all day together today. And the discussion of, if you want the time alone to explore, you can have that. I can have that, hence why I'm now here, and she's off chatting with people. And like, there's just that trust of like, yeah, if you want to go play. I want to hear about it, I want to celebrate with you, but there is no obligation for me to be there or to include me. We're just going to celebrate having fun.
So have you, or like you have in general, an open relationship? Are you poly? Like, what's the sort of dynamic?
Like, we haven't even defined it as a relationship. We had this conversation today, and we're like, we're just happy we've got a safe person that we can communicate to. We can do cute friendship dates and shit like that. But it doesn't have to have a label, because it doesn't need one. We're happy. And if either of us changes,
You'll let them know.
We can communicate that.
Yeah.
So I guess we're open, like, and we've discussed that, and it's like, I don't want to be a cage for someone. I don't want to hold them down. I'll rather tie them up. But if they want to go have fun with other people, be safe. If you've got concerns, communicate. I'll do the same. I'll get tested regularly if you get tested regularly. But shit, yeah, I want to celebrate that with you. I want to hear about this lovely person that you got to have time with, because that's awesome.
So I think a lot of people get stuck on the idea of, I guess the jealousy or insecurity that this sort of thing can come up with open relating. Like, do you have any battle with feeling jealousy or insecurity or anything?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, great. I mean, fuck. That would be so relaxing. And I think it takes a certain kind of person to be able to hack it, doing the like open relating thing. I mean, did do it. I've spoken about it on the podcast many times, but I did do open relating for a few years. But yeah, like definitely wasn't doing it from a place of like, I'm really enjoying this and so like I wasn't experiencing compersion. I wasn't like zealot, like it was a fucking slog. But I'm like wondering, like, do you, before you rock up at an event like this, especially if you've never been to one together, do you like have some like particular boundaries? What do you discuss in terms of what's allowed, what's not allowed? What would happen if you, like, one of you weren't comfortable with a particular thing, and then, you know, like, how do you kind of pre-frame events like this as a couple? Speaking of the communication that needs to go into this stuff.
It was something that was always in the background of my mind, and we communicated that. And with this person in particular, there is none. If they want to do whatever, do whatever. Be safe about it. I trust you, you're an adult, you can do that. 100% go for it. Another dynamic I have is with someone who has always seen themselves as being lesbian, but sees me as a safe person. So for that dynamic, it's very much on my notes app on my phone. There is a long list of yeses and nos, and it's an opportunity for them to explore what they like in a safe manner. And it's an opportunity for me to have a rope bunny to play with some different dynamics in areas of kink that I haven't got to explore myself in an environment that keeps them safe. So that side of that relationship is hugely based on communication, yeses and nos, lots of checking in, whereas this side is very much, we're here to have fun. I trust you implicitly. I trust your judgment. If you want to have fun, have fun. If you want to dance, dance. I respect you. I understand that you can do this safely, and I trust you to be a safe practitioner.
So when you say there's a list on your phone of yes and no's, what do you mean? What?
So with her not entirely being comfortable or attracted to men, it's a lot of and them being quite an anxious person. So it's like wordage that they like used in regards to them, what they don't like regards to them. They've got some sensory issues, so no kissing on the lips or anything like that. They prefer it if I'm clothed in some form, especially around the groin area, because they have no interest in that sort of thing. But then we also have a list of things that makes them tick and what they really enjoy. And we always check in before each session on what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and what works for them. And then if there's, like, obviously the traffic light system, red, stop, orange is like, I don't know, green is go. We've learnt really how to communicate that and have, if there's something that she's unsure about, she'll say orange, we'll discuss it, stop the scene, red, stop absolutely. And there's also her symbol of when she's ready to start playing, and honorifics, and the way I treat her in that situation versus when it's my best friend are completely different. And I think having that barrier of, yes, I can touch you when you've got your collar on, that's okay, but when you don't, I would treat you as I would any friend, which is like not even avert my gaze at any opportunity, not touching, asking for consent, yada yada yada. So all those really important things, and that's what's enabled that dynamic to continue and be a learning experience and quite safe for both of us.
Gotcha. So they're a kink partner.
Yeah.
Yep.
But also one of my closest friends.
Yeah. Amazing.
It's, I personally have had a very tough year. I've broken 2 bones, which took 7 months to heal. So I've personally had a really tough year, and having these people in my life that can be an outlet, yet a massive support in ways I never even considered, especially for my self-esteem, has been the most beautiful thing.
Wow. Oh, I'm so happy for you. This all sounds pretty fucking nice. I mean, sorry about the hard year, but wow.
It's fixed now.
I mean, it's nice, like, when you realize, like, how much people can show up for you. I suppose it's like a real test.
Yeah. And like, it's as simple as someone coming up to visit, and it's like 4 hours on the train to come and visit me in for a weekend. Like, that means the world.
Oh yeah. I mean, Melbourne people going more than 5 kilometers to visit you is like a huge deal. So like, if you feel comfortable sharing, like, what kind of kink do you guys get into? Or like, what kind of scenes or dynamics?
Mummification with sports tape.
Oh, whoa! I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, so like, just your simple sports tape, and you start rapping, and this is something they really, really enjoy, and just having this sort of like it's a mummy.
Kind of like compression.
It's just a warm hug.
It's like the sticky physio tape, you mean? Like,
It's not like it sticks to itself, but it doesn't stick to skin.
right. Oh, that's perfect then.
That's amazing. It's very breathable, so they can be completely encased.
And it's got a little bit of stretch?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So that's a big one for them. I personally really enjoy ropes, so tying them into predicaments and whatnot.
Predicaments?
Yeah. I
Like, elaborate on that. Like they have to get out of it?
Not even like just look how exposed you are.
Yep.
Like I could
your
do-
arm is twisted behind your back now and you can't move that limb.
Could do whatever I wanted, or like, yeah, you can pull your arms if you want, but there's a crotch rope with some knots in it that rub against your clit every time you do it.
That's strategic. Wow.
It's really fun. And I guess that's been like the most magical part of like learning, and because this person has their play persona and their other persona, if they've had a bad week, if they've had a really rough week, I can be like, well, you're going to have 10 spanks, and when you turn back to your other self, you're going to be completely unburdened. Like, I want you to get all of this out now and just refresh. And like, if you're a phoenix, burn up and just start again. You're so okay.
Whoa. It sounds super therapeutic. Fuck. That's so cool. Thanks for sharing. I'm so glad I imagine if I didn't ask what your kink was and I'd never heard of mummification and ropes, rubbing clits, like, it's sick. I love
It's
it.
a whole nother world out there, and it's so fun, especially when you can do things like this excitement when you try something with someone and you go, actually, we can do this safely. Like, we started with safety shears and some tape, and we went, okay, if we cover the mouth, can you still breathe? Yes. We cover the nose, can you still breathe? Yes.
So you do their whole body? Do you wrap their whole body like a
So
mummy?
last time, the entire body. And they had a hood on, and you can just, they can't hear very well, they can't move very well, so you can just roll them around the floor.
It's like a float tank, like deprivation of the senses.
Exactly. No, like, I had no idea what was going. I was so contorted, you could leave me, like, I left them there for like 10 or 20 minutes, and they were just happy, wiggling, feeling the bonds that they had against them.
Sick. I mean, that, I'm like super vanilla, but the like, if there was anything that I could get pretty into, I reckon it would be like, just, not having to hold up any of my limbs and just having like, just being a floppy rag doll and having someone that I felt so safe with that they could just like move me around and sort of, shibari seems quite appealing. Just kind of getting to be like a total floppo and somebody else taking care of business and tying you and moving your limbs around, and just the total surrender. I think it's not really about the submission to me so much as the surrender and the sort of safety and trust that you would need to have in order to surrender to that level where you're completely helpless.
And for this person to not be sexually attracted to me or someone of my form, and to have that trust, is like the most precious thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
Because it's huge to be in these predicaments, and I take a lot of stewardship in teaching them, like, no, this is the bare minimum. This is what you want. Well, this is not what you want, but this is what you need from a dynamic with someone. You want this communication, you need this trust, this respect. Like, yes, you can be tied tightly, but you want to make sure that, well, my hand's going to still be my hand at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, like, just that education of safe kink is so important, and I love it so much.
Fuck yeah. Okay, well, I've loved this chat. I feel like I want to just check in with Harles because there's been a few people popping in and out.
Of course.
And I'm like, fuck, I should probably like be more proactive and get some more interviews. But like, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming and having a chat.
Excuse this quick interruption. I'm shamelessly seeking reviews and 5-star ratings for the potty because, as I'm sure you've noticed by now, it's pretty fab. And the more people who get to hear it, the more people I can help with it. Reviews and ratings actually do make a big difference to this little independent podcaster. And it's really easy to just quickly show your support by taking that simple act of either leaving 5 stars for the show on Spotify, or even better, writing a written review and leaving 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts. Or if you're a real overachiever, you can do them both. That would be mad. If you're writing a review, though, just be sure to use G-rated words, because despite the fact that this is a podcast about sexuality, words like sex can be censored and your review won't make it through the gates. Lame. Anyway, I would personally recommend doing that right now while you remember, just to get on top of it and let me know you're with me on this journey. Thanks, gang. Enjoy the rest of the epi.
So, I mean, how long have you been into this whole world?
It's been probably a year and a half.
Oh, so pretty fresh.
Yeah, we're quite green.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah.
How's it been?
It's been mostly amazing. There's been some up and downs in terms of negotiating how we make this work as a couple.
Yeah, you and your husband.
Yes.
Absolutely, that's a lot. What kind of chats do you have beforehand, and do you have to sort of put some ground rules or boundaries in place?
Yeah, well, originally we had 3 rules. It was don't fall in love, no sleepovers, and tell each other everything. And those 3 things are not actually achievable, in an open relationship. You can't control how you feel. And you definitely can't tell your partner everything.
Yeah. It's a bit of a minefield, isn't it? And I feel like there's not a lot of, modeling of how to do it really well. There's not, when I sort of dabbled in open relating, there wasn't any framework. I didn't know what the fuck I was, and there's more info now, but I was wow, I really should have probably hired a coach that actually...
I think that's part of the problem, right? We expect everything that we do to come with a guideline and a set of rules and a framework for us to work with. That's kind of what's setting us back, I think, in a lot of ways, because we need to work without the framework. If we're going to be who we authentically are going to be, and we're going to do what we authentically want to do, a framework is not going to work for us. The box that we put ourselves in is not going to work. We need to pave our own road.
Yeah, I guess I felt the partner and I that were experimenting with it, we're trying to pave our own road, but making so many quite harmful and painful mistakes along the way because we didn't have any scaffolding, and
yeah, but that's because the world expects you to behave a certain way.
But I think it would have been helpful if we'd had even some kind of understanding around the sort of conversations that we probably would have benefited from having before entering certain spaces, or how to go about creating boundaries, that you actually do have to, there was a point where I had assumed that he would obviously just know that it was okay, because we were primary partners, know that it was well, if you're with somebody else, you use condoms. But he didn't assume, so he wasn't, and I didn't know that, and then I found out. So there was all of these little road bumps that we could have avoided if we had have known to have those sorts of conversations before we kind of dove in. So I think I don't know, I know what you're saying with the...
Are those conversations that you have when you're open, or are they conversations that you have when you're with someone regardless? Talking about having safe sex, that's an every relationship
standard.
issue.
That's standard. I mean, I didn't think I needed to mention that he should wear condoms with other people, because I just sort of assumed we were on the same page about that, and I guess we weren't. And he hadn't really thought about it to kind of go, oh, Freya probably wouldn't be cool with that or something, So I guess, there's so many ways
nuances
that it can be done in a way that might be a bit harmful and could have been avoided if, there was a bit more experience there, because we were totally green and just trying to wing it and figure it out as we went, and that was cool and everything, but I think a little bit foolhardy, and it would have been good if we'd had more community that were also into that lifestyle and could kind of help us avoid making the mistakes and learning the hard way certain things, I guess. So like, yeah, how has it been entering the open relating world and like entering these play spaces where you're both here? Like, do you engage with people separately? Do you engage with people as a couple?
We've been very blessed because like as soon as we started to be open, we made this incredible group of friends that we now go to all these events with, and we see regularly. They've become like very important people in our lives. Our kids know them. Like they've become our best friends.
Amazing.
So when we're in these kind of situations, it actually doesn't feel like a play party to me. I didn't really have any interest in playing, but it's an opportunity to just be completely authentic, and with people that I get to be completely authentic with. Because once you get to that point in a friendship where and these friendships start like this, you're saying your deepest, darkest desires, like the parts of your soul and your mind that you keep from everybody else in your life. Once you've shared that with someone and they become your friend, everything else is easy.
Yeah.
Like everything else is easy. I could call any of these people at any time of the day and they would all turn up for me. I know that because they know the deep, dark parts of me, and I can share anything. And so this is like just a chance to be with people that I love in an environment where I can just be as silly or as like outgoing or as sexual as I would like. Thank you, Jake.
No. Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're good. Thank you. And it feels authentic and nice and like it's easy. I don't think many people get to have that.
No, exactly.
It's not a normal part of the human experience, and like for us, it's
not
it's
these days. Yeah. Connection is so like we're in a loneliness epidemic, and connection like that and like deep, authentic connection, so hard to come by, and so hard to create with new people. Just cold turkey. So like being in these spaces drops you into a depth immediate, like it's automatic that you've got this foundation of like respect and understanding and kind of like I see you, and
but also this like level of vulnerability.
Yeah, big time. So if you feel comfortable sharing, what are some of your kinks?
That's a good question. We have the same kinks, but from different perspectives. So like I'm submissive. He's also submissive. I like restraints and ties and like the whole dom sub experience. He's probably more into. I shouldn't explain his situation, but yeah. But we have this like gift of community. We get to explore whatever we want, and there's a friend in our group who is like really into feet. None of the rest of us are into feet, but we regularly will send
foot
pictures.
That's so lovely of you.
Just because it's like it means nothing to us, but it's so like it means so much to them.
Yeah.
And that's,
taking one for the team, just like it is, it's a gift.
But
that's
kind
lovely.
of like we've all kind of realized that also doing something that helps someone that you care about feel connected and feel like spoiled in that way, like that's
really enjoyable. Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah, I love that. You're like helping facilitate one another's kinks, and you're like, well, none of us are into feet either, but like let's just chop you out a few feet pics, and like that's so supportive and thoughtful. Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's so cool. So when you guys got together, you mentioned you have some children. Like, did you always know about one another's kinks, or has it come out in more recent times? Because if you're both submissive, I imagine like entering an open space would help you get your needs met, since you can't dom each other.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of realized that after we became open.
Yeah.
We've been together for a long time. Like we have nearly teenage children, and we've been in like a big part of each other's lives for so long. So it's like one of those incredible friendships that I mean, a lot of people don't get to have that, but yeah. So we just support each other's journey through working out what we want to do and what we're interested in.
When did it come up, the conversation about your kinks and that both of you enjoyed being submissive? Like, how deep into the relationship? Like, is that a recent thing?
It was a recent thing. It was like because we were open and like swinging, kind of, and kink came after.
Yeah.
We were both just like, oh, actually, we like this more.
Did you know that about yourself, or it sort of crept in, and as you started exploring open relating and getting into more kind of like scenes where there was a lot of exposure to all these different things, did you kind of start getting interested in it, or did you always know?
No, it definitely crept in. I think
Cool.
for both of us, I don't think it was something that we even... Because BDSM seems very scary, and I think a lot of people think that it's something that it's not.
Yeah, definitely.
And for us, it was like it was a moment, it was something that we learnt that we could be really vulnerable and really like authentic and just do some really fun stuff.
Yeah, amazing. Epic. Well, thank you so much. I'll let you enjoy your drink with your husband now. But I love this chat. Thank you.
Probably like my most extreme kink, where people would be like, whoa, that's a bit
That's what we're here for. Yeah.
I really enjoy anal fisting.
Okay. Wow.
Took a while to get to that
giving or
point.
receiving?
Receiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And like took a while to get to that point. Like,
sure.
what's the process? Finding someone who's like willing.
Oh no, I think it's more about connecting with your own asshole and.
Can you reach with your own fist?
Me? Yeah, I can.
Okay, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it's not too hard.
Okay, so you should practice with yourself at first to ease into that.
Yeah, and with a partner. Yeah. But I guess it's kind of like people who stretch their earlobes.
Yeah.
It's a little bit the same, but it's a muscle, not the skin.
So like,
Yeah,
talk me through your journey with that, because I have no experience of this, and
I think it's probably, it starts off just having a curiosity for anal play or anal sex.
Yeah.
And being a male-bodied person, someone decided to put the G-spot in there. And it feels pretty damn good. So it's just, I guess it was just a progression of play from, just experiencing the pleasure that comes along with anal play.
Yeah.
And then just taking it that next step further. And wanting to, just experience more. And to the point I'm like, this is where, some people are for and against porn, but I think porn can be really useful because at some point, I watched or searched for that type of porn. I came across it and I was just like, whoa, that's a thing.
You can do that?
You can do that? That's kind of cool. That intrigued me. That's how I use porn a lot of the time is to discover things that I'm like, I've never done before. And then go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who think, porn's really bad because it's an abuse of women or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, but there's other things there where if you're watching a guy, it's not black and white. It could be a guy, it could be a woman getting anal fisted, could be doing it to herself, or themselves, and so that intrigued me, and I'm like, oh, cool. Wonder what that feels like. Curiosity.
So did you do it to yourself first, or did someone else do it to you for the first time?
To that level, no, someone else did it to me first.
And did you go to any like fisting workshops to kind of learn how to do it safely?
Nah, I think that exploration was in lockdown.
I mean, that's the time to do it, honestly. Heaps of time to just stretch out the asshole.
But also, it was a time that I was connecting and exploring my own body more and more because my partner was a new mother and her sex drive fell off the cliff. So I'm like, well,
Better get a
connected with
fist up my own
myself.
butt.
Yeah, well, just exploring my own sexuality in many different ways, and that was just one of them.
Yeah. What else?
What else? Extreme.
Doesn't have to be extreme, but
Well, I feel like for me that it's always like kinks are the edge of my sexuality. Because if it's just like, missionary position, it doesn't feel so. It feels great. I love missionary position still.
but it's not really kinky.
But it doesn't fall into the realm of kink, I don't feel.
No.
So my other one that is probably a little bit more taboo that I got into for a while, I haven't done it for a very long time, but I was really enjoying like piss play.
Yeah.
And drinking my partner's piss. Yeah. Really love the domination of them doing that to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it turned me on, but it did.
So pissing straight into the mouth or pissing into a jar and then drinking it?
Nah, straight
It's got to be like still warm.
It's got to be straight in there.
Yeah.
Or squirt.
Yep.
Both.
Yeah.
Different but similar.
So like, would that fall into the category of golden showers, or is more specifically like drinking it?
Could be both.
Could be both.
Could be a bit of column A, a bit of column B.
Yeah. And just haven't done it for a while because I'm guessing you just have to find people who are also into it and can piss on cue and like find out.
That's not always easy.
Yeah. Did you just sort of like, do you kind of go through phases where you're more turned on by a certain kink for a period of time, or it's more just you've got access to a partner that's also into it, or?
Yeah, no, it's more driven probably by me, and it's like, for a while it's like, that's really... It really turns me on or drives me, and then that could experience a lot of that, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm kind of, I've exhausted that a little bit for now.
Yeah, for now.
It's
like when you eat too much of the same food for a while.
Exactly. You might have like a Nutella craving, and you eat Nutella every day, and then it's like
you just can't eat it for a
while. Done with it, But it doesn't mean you don't like it.
No, could come back.
Yeah. I think food and sex are really good analogies to.
Oh, definitely.
To use,
it's pretty handy. Yeah. So, all right, back to the fisting. Actually, no, I've got a great TMI story.
Oh, actually, do you want to know? Okay,
yes.
here's like. Claire's like having a laugh. She knows.
You're welcome to come on over as well if you want to partake. No.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't been fisted for a long time actually. How many months had it been? Maybe 3 or 4 months, until last night. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats, gang.
But yeah, one time it was a very hot experience, I have to say, but being fisted, and then at the end of that, having my partner at the time tell me in a pretty dominating way, like, don't move, stay still. And then like my ass was kind of, it had been pretty well fucked and was quite open, and she then pissed in my ass.
Wow.
So that was, I'm like, whoa, I didn't even, the hot part of it, the hottest part of it was I had no idea she was going to do that. And it was pretty cool.
Was it nice?
Yeah. This only happened once in my life.
Wow.
May never happen again.
So like it was possible because after fisting just for a little while there's still a bit of a gape going on, so she was able to position you in a way which just, were you on your back and then she squatted over?
I was like sort of doggy style.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow. I mean that is impressive that she was able to aim and get it in there. Wow.
Yeah, good on her.
What a treat.
Yeah, it was
very creative.
Cool. Yeah.
So I have a pissing TMI story, and then I want to just get into the nitty gritty of fisting, and then I'll let you go.
Okay, cool.
A friend of mine, and he'd be fine with me telling this story.
Sure.
Him and his partner get around a little bit of piss play, and they had a loft bed for ages, and it just is like, I don't know if you've ever had a bunk bed or a loft bed, but it's kind of a hassle in the middle of the night to like go up and down to go to the toilet.
I've got one right next door.
Yeah.
Well, I don't use it as a loft bed anymore, but I know it. Yeah, I had to climb down on a ladder.
Yeah, it's a bit of a thing. It's a bit of a thing.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes, like, you know, she would just piss in his mouth and he would drink it and then she wouldn't have to get out of bed to go and piss.
That's hot.
Yeah. All right, so fisting 101. Like, obviously you've got to be so careful. The anus is nowhere near as forgiving as the vagina, and even copping a fist in the vag is like a whole big deal. So like, what do you kind of require to be that relaxed and turned on to like let those muscles actually just lengthen to the point where you can get a whole fist in? Do you start with like one finger, butt plugs?
Maybe I'm not the best person to answer that question.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm not the one giving it to myself.
True.
Generally. I mean, it's a lot to put my own.
Well, you have a big fist, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty hard.
And is it I imagine it just isn't as good when you're doing it to yourself.
No, it's not, because you can't, it's like trying to...
You can't really relax while you're trying to...
You can't relax into doing that to yourself so easily. But I'll be honest, like, yeah, it's not really very hard now.
Okay, so you just kind of
Would you
learn.
say?
You
Is
just
that fair
have
to say? Yeah, it's like, you know...
Your body
like
knows what's up.
You could probably just literally just slide your hand right into me right now.
Wow, just lube and it's like ready to just like open up and... Okay, so it's kind of a muscle memory, like you train your body into just being quite receptive
I think so.
to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's even like, you know, people, you've probably heard stories of this even, of people, or know of stories of people when they might get something stuck in their butt and they have to go to hospital.
Yeah,
there's like certain drugs they inject, I don't even know what they are, you probably know what they are because you're in the medical thing.
Like amyl?
Maybe, I don't know, but it relaxes the whole thing. So I can literally just reach in there and pull out whatever's in there.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's possible. Like whatever the body's possible is actually like, I feel it's more of a mind anus connection.
Yep.
And yeah, like there's a lot of people walking around in this world like, oh, clenching everywhere they go, like, ugh. I'm not one of those people. So yeah, I like... Yeah, muscle memory. I mean, it is, the sphincter is a muscle, much like the cervix, very similar to the cervix in many ways. And there's also two sphincters in the anus. Obviously, you probably know that. The front one and the back one. And yeah, I mean, that's totally totally different experiences as well.
Each
like going
sphincter?
to the first one is like, okay, cool. But then if you know, there's some people who really like going super deep into that. And
do you
then
like super deep?
Can do, but it can also feel really uncomfortable at certain stages. Okay. And then like pushing through that uncomfortable, like there's pleasure through the uncomfortability, you know, like pushing that edge where it's not necessarily pleasurable, but it's uncomfortable, but it's pushing an edge uncomfortably. I don't know, like it's,
So like your first gate's pretty loosey-goosey and ready to go, but then the second
one is
gate,
a bit more tricky.
So you're not getting a whole fist all the way into the...
There's some people who can like go up to the shoulder.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, man. Have a look at some porn.
As if bodies are even that long. How does that happen?
Man. Yeah, no, it can go right up there.
Well,
I've never
isn't there like
seen
a point where it turns into your intestines?
In porn, I've never seen that happen with a man, but I've definitely seen it with women. Or
like
vagina
anatomically,
people,
like
I don't know why.
Isn't that puncturing up into their like intestines though? Like surely
I mean, it is going all the way up there, but they can go. Yeah, I've literally seen it where they go up to the. Yeah, that's what intrigued me. You know, like it's like, whoa.
Wow.
There's this one like porn chick, Siswet, SISWET. Yeah, so if anyone wants to, if listens to this and wants to search
like
for that.
Cis, like CIS, so cisgendered, ciswet.
Wet, yeah.
Nice.
Right,
okay.
That's her handle.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's the one I follow more than anyone. She's like, you know, got a, what do you call it? OnlyFans, and you know, probably make a lot of money out of what she does.
I mean, you'd want to. If you're getting shoulder deep, you've bloody earned it.
Yeah, she could take a lot.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. She just, I guess I was a little bit inspired by her abilities. Yeah, like cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, wow.
There you go.
Epic. This is juicy. Thanks so much for sharing. Yeah, this is great content. I mean, I gobble this shit up.
Yeah, cool.
That's awesome. And like, I mean, appreciate you sharing. It's always interesting in these spaces because like I know you outside of this space, not super well, but we've known each other for years.
For a while.
And so all of a sudden, like in this space, like one, I've got an excuse to ask these questions, and two, like if we're at this party and in this space, everyone's just probably assuming you're just that little bit more open-minded or, you know, non-judgmental or whatever.
Sure,
and so people have been so generous with like their sharing with me. They're very willing to talk about it. And it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was asking people the other day, what's your superpower? And you know, the question got returned to me, and I'm like, vulnerability.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to hide. Don't really care. Hi, Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
No, I probably wouldn't have that conversation with them. They're a little bit, you know, mainstream repressed sexually.
You know, but that's not because that's not for you, that's for them, because they would probably just find it so confronting that it's like not worth putting them in that position. So I like to push people's edges and challenge people, but like some battles not worth picking, and like
totally,
it's kind of a non-consensual thing to drop on some boomers that are not ready for it. Exactly like, hey, I'm your son and I like being fisted. Like,
yeah, totally.
So
not really. I won't go there.
Although I did just have a guest on who's a consent angel here, and she took her mum to the swingers bar, her 7-year-old mum to a swingers bar, and her mum's like not into that, but afterwards she was like, it was so healing and so bonding, and we've never had that kind of relationship, but she just, you know, her mum was like, oh, I think I like get it, like I've never had met such beautiful people and had such a, like, she was like, I'm gonna open up my own swingers bar in Thailand, because her mum lives in Thailand, and I'm like,
rock and roll.
That's fucking sick, like what a beautiful, and you know, if she hadn't have tried to push her mum's edge and just bring her into that world, like that moment of bonding and like deeper connection, just dropping down to another layer between mother and daughter, like would never have happened. So like that's really special, but I feel like that's quite rare, and more often than not that would probably backfire depending on your parents, but like
totally.
Yeah.
I think in general, I got another story for you as well.
Love.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Oh god.
But yeah, I feel like in general over the years, the people I've met through this, you know, through workshops and events and all that kind of thing, yeah, it seems like the mothers are a little bit more open. The women are a little bit more open than fathers are in general. But
that checks out.
I've got a story from one of the first, very, very early on event, probably in 2013. Yeah, it would have been 2013. It was part of the Fringe Festival. And it was a theatre company who hired the space to run a series of theatre shows. I think they did it over 3 nights. And I can't remember what the name of the theatre company was called. But one of the main sort of lead directors of that theatre company was also a performer. Now, he did this performance. It was probably one of the most, still to this day, probably one of the most edgy fucking things that has ever happened in this space. He did the. I saw the show on the first night, right? But the third night, this guy's father was in the audience. I wasn't there. I was somewhere else.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I wonder if he was prepared.
So he was quite openly gay.
Okay.
And what he proceeded to do in his performance, it was just him on stage, and I can't really remember the sort of lead up to this point of like what happened. It was so long ago, but the crux of it was he put a condom on the microphone and proceeded to fuck himself in the ass with the microphone. He put that mic up his butt, and everyone could hear the microphone going into his ass.
Wow.
Right? But as he was doing this, he was like, "Fuck me, daddy. Fuck me, daddy. Fuck me hard,
Did he know his
daddy."
dad was in the audience?
Yeah, well, yeah, he invited his dad to the show.
Oh my
so like
God,
the
I wonder if
last
he
night,
wanted-
his dad was there, and he's on stage fucking himself in the with the microphone in the ass, saying "fuck me, daddy." Yeah, that was.
Oh,
that was an edge. I was like, what
God.
the fuck
And how
kind
did
of
you
business
know?
have I just started?
How did you know his dad was there? Did he do a shout out from the stage?
To be honest, I don't even know. I wasn't there. I just got told.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Okay, so probably all my
But
follow-up
I saw it, and I saw him putting that mic in his butt, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'd like given his dad a heads up about what was going down, because that's kind of like cruel and non-consensual to spring that on someone if they weren't prepared. Surely his dad was on board in some capacity,
Must have been.
because also
Yeah.
You know, if it's being advertised, like the show, there would have been a blurb. Wouldn't say he's going to fuck himself with a mic, but it would have been like,
No.
This is R18 plus. There's some explicit stuff. It's sexual, blah blah blah. So his dad must have like surely known a little bit.
MKA Theatre. Yeah, that was what it was.
Okay.
Don't know if they still exist.
Wow, that's
wild.
wild.
Hey?
That's wild.
Now, I've also got one that is an edge for me, and I'm like, I'm interested in what people enjoy about this. Like, guys, I don't know that women, or in this day and age, vulva owners, do with this, but sounding.
Oh yeah, urethral sounding. Wow.
That's kind of like, ooh, I don't know about that. That's like that.
I mean,
feels
you're
like
halfway there with
painful,
fisting.
though.
Well, apparently it's not.
The urethra versus
apparently
the
it's not.
anus.
Apparently it's got a bit of stretch to it.
Okay.
But I know that when I heard about that, I didn't know that was a thing until pretty recently. I had a pro dom on the podcast, and she was mentioning she was really into that,
Really
like
into
the real
it, okay.
medical instrument sort of vibe. And I was like, wow, because I didn't even know you could get anything up a urethra. Like, but I think also different people's are different sizes, because some people can fit larger things up there. But
for sure,
for me, doesn't appeal, feels quite scary. I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel like anything should go up there.
Well,
but
we can definitely all fit things in there for sure. We had at Oz Kink Festival, this is another sort of little strange kind of coincidence of events, but I was setting up some sound on the stage, and there was a catheterization workshop happening on the stage.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, what the fuck, man? Like, I don't know what the jam is with that, of wanting to do that, but people, you know, it's their thing, cool, you know, don't yuck anyone's yum. But 2 days after being there, I broke my leg, and I was in hospital.
And you had to get a catheter.
And I had to get a catheter. And I was like high as anything on fentanyl. And I had this quite young nurse come in, and I was like, oh, do you know some people are like into this as a kink? And I was like high as anything.
What did she say?
She was not very impressed.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I don't think, she was not digging me saying that. I'm like,
as she was kind of doing it
she was at work doing her thing.
Yeah. No, that's fair, that's fair.
You know, but I was also quite high.
Yeah.
And loose.
Easy mistake to make, honestly. I mean, I would have immediately brought it up because it happened 2 days ago that you saw a workshop on stage about it, and now you're getting a catheter in your dick, so it's like pretty topical.
Yeah. I remember I was high, I woke up high, and I'm like, had a catheter in and had an erection. And like I said to the nurse, a different nurse, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? And she goes, I don't know. Most people who get catheters are old people who don't have that problem at all because they can't do it in the first place. I'm like,
they don't get nocturnal erections.
I was still just high, you know, on all the drugs they were giving me. And but I never got the meds. It just luckily went down on its own accord, as it always does.
Oh my God.
But anyway, there you go.
Yeah, wow.
Testosterone still kicks in even with a catheter in.
Wow.
Yeah, that story.
Yeah.
Plenty of stories, man.
Was it painful when you got an erection with a catheter in? Or?
Felt weird.
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. But maybe some people are into that with sounding and they like that.
Oh, yeah, it would be pleasurable for
You
them.
know.
I think, you could train
And
your
if
body
things
into
a go, green light, but
Yeah.
catheters and
Who
sounding,
knows?
not so much.
You might get there
Not
one
this
day.
week.
You might go through a phase and...
Maybe
you're
one day I'm just
Nutella
like,
one day and...
I'm bored. What am I going to do
catheters the
next in my life?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I feel like that surely kinks do tend to sort of escalate a little bit in intensity and extremity as you get bored of things, and then you get more bold or curious or experimental or confident with like your exploration. So like maybe that is something on your horizon.
Who knows?
You never know.
Who knows? Yeah, I think kinks are a little bit wild of like, you know, it can be just exploration and fun, but then also I've had, you know, not just being shamed, but had like, oh, you know, maybe there's a reason why you like that, like some kind of traumatic thing happened to you.
Oh yeah, like
that.
psychoanalyzed or
yeah, I don't know.
pathologized.
You know, I don't ever remember getting like sexually abused with my ass in the past. Maybe that happened and I've like completely blanked it, and now I'm like into this because of that. I don't know. But I don't think so. I don't think you have to have had trauma just to enjoy something like that. You know?
No.
But yeah, it's a. But then I can also see how people would have had trauma and then are into those kind of things.
It definitely happens,
You know?
but it's not.
I don't think it's exclusive.
No, not totally. It's, you know, for sure, like a common thing that can happen, but it's not this equals this at all. Yeah, well, thanks so much for sharing. I'll let you guys go, but that was great.
I'm going to go check out downstairs. I haven't been down there yet.
Oh,
but highly recommend all the listeners, you know, try anal fisting at some stage in their lives. It's a vibe.
Get around it, fisting.
Hey, me again. If you'd like to support the potty and you've already given it 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening on, I want to mention that you can buy some really dope merch from the website and get yourself a Labia Lounge tote, tee, togs. Yep, you heard that right. I even have Labia Lounge bathers. Or a cute fanny pack if that'd blow your hair back. So if fashion isn't your passion though, you can donate to my Buy Me a Coffee donation page, which is actually called Buy Me a Soy Chai Latte, because I'll be the first to admit I'm a bit of a Melbourne cafe tosser like that. And yes, that is my coffee order. You can do a once-off donation or an ongoing membership and sponsor me for as little as 3 fat ones a month. And I also offer one-on-one coaching and online courses that'll help you level up your sex life and relationship with yourself and others in a really big way. So every bit helps, because it ain't cheap to put out a sweet podcast into the world every week out of my own pocket. So I will be undyingly grateful if you support me and my biz financially in any of these ways. And if you like, I'll even give you a mental BJ with my mind from the lounge itself. Saucy. And I'll pop the links in the show notes. Thank you. Later.
Yeah, so OzKingFest, there's a lot of there's your general like things that happen once a month or every couple of months that are in the classic kink scene. But then you've got Hellfire Resurrection, which is next weekend, and I'm literally going to butcher these, but there's a couple of other events that are a bit more big shebangs. They've got like massive performers. There's like real fucking whack things. They've got hook suspension.
Yeah, someone was literally just telling me about.
Seen the most incredibly insane, most elegantly beautiful hook suspension of my life.
Someone was just describing this
Probably.
to me.
Was she like
Can
an
I
angel?
describe it to you and then you tell me if it was the same thing? So she was describing it like there was this woman who had like a long kind of like skirt thing and then and these insane like high heel boots maybe, and then when she was suspended, like from the hooks were all in her back, and she was kind of like posed with her leg up, like kind of almost like flying in this really. She described it. I don't know if the aesthetic was the same, but she described it as though it was the most elegant like piece of art you've ever seen.
Yeah. That was not the same one I watched, but it felt the same. It's like the one.
She was just goosebumpy.
Yeah,
you know?
the one that I saw. So there was probably, I'm going to say maybe 500 people at this event. Mm-hmm. And as soon as that performance came on stage, everyone's mouth just dropped and stared, and everyone went like staring at the stage intently. And there was this woman, she started in the middle of the stage, and like they insert the hooks backstage, and so she's already got them in her knees, in her thighs, in her shoulders, and I think in the chest.
So knees like behind her knees or the front?
Like the front of the knees.
So
they kind of, it's pretty gnarly. And then so she starts her performance by sitting cross-legged in the middle of the stage, and then the rigger lines up the ropes and connects the ropes to her, and it's like a very slow progression performance, and there's like a drop sheet on the stage, obviously for blood.
Does it bleed much?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Not like splurting, but like you get like, and this was part of the art form and artwork though, that was just like, I've never seen something so confrontingly visual but also so beautifully elegant.
Whoa.
It was insane. And like she's sitting cross-legged on the stage, and slowly he starts rising her up to the point where she's maybe like 10 centimeters off the ground, still cross-legged, sitting in like full lotus.
Whoa.
And as she's finally raised off the ground, the crowd just goes like claps and applauds and goes wow. And then slowly he rises her further up. She's still cross-legged, and she's probably maybe 2 meters off the ground now. and then she slowly starts unraveling her legs like an angel in her arms, and she starts like just slowly kind of swinging, and he'll push her and he'll start slowly swinging, and then it kind of drags in, and he will kind of swings her around the room like in a massive circular motion, and to this point she's like spun around and you've got the hooks in her back, and she's wearing, I missed this vital piece of information, she's wearing the most elegant white silk satin like sleep number.
Okay,
and so the
drips
contrast of the vibrant red blood onto this white silk number drips down, and then she's up there for a good 45 minutes, just having the most amazing time. Her smile is so big. He ends up bringing her slowly back down, and she's more of like a pin shape. Then he goes up to her, wraps his arms around her, and slowly lifts his own feet off the ground. So he's carrying her body, she's carrying his body weight.
Oh my God. And so where the hooks are in and the skin, and they're like tied to string or chain or whatever, how much is like the skin like pulling up? Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's not really
visible
pulling up because there's the hooks are massive.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a giant fishing hook.
Through,
and it's through quite a thick piece of skin.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm aware, the way it works is it kind of just stretches the skin a little bit. I question how much recovery would be needed from that.
Yeah.
But from people that I've spoken to, they say that it's not that bad.
Wow. There'd be an art to getting it just under the right layer of skin and not doing any like damage kind of thing, and then just distributing the weight in the perfect way, and the slowness of the swing. But like, you know, taking his weight too, I hate pain and I hate needles and I hate this makes me feel yucky in my stomach. Like, it makes me feel sick. I'm very confronted by it.
I'm curious to know if you would still be able to watch it though, because that's the mind fuckery of it, is like it's so confronting, but you also can't look away. You're like, it's like, and you have this realization that one small fuck up and this whole audience will be traumatized. And that person will be traumatized.
They're masters of their craft. Like, that's advanced shit, dude. Yeah, I think I could watch it. I feel like I've seen photos or maybe like little snips. I haven't seen a full performance like that. And in the photos of it I've seen, I haven't seen any blood.
That's
which I think adds another level of realness to it.
That's probably one of the, that was the most insane thing I've witnessed, but probably not fully the most confronting. I've been in these kind of sexy spaces before, in kink spaces, where there's like, and because they often get quite packed out, that there's not a whole room of space for play in like a way of like people not actually interfering. Sometimes the people are just walking past and bumping into you, and you try and do it. But there was one venue where upstairs there was a table, and somebody was like, I know this was happening, but there was like needle and blood play happening, and I had to walk directly past it, and it was pretty confronting.
Whoa.
Yeah, but you know, not to yuck anyone's yum, and people are into these things.
Yeah, and so like, were many people watching that? Like, is it quite a I'm
not too sure if I remember directly. It was a little bit much for me to even recognize, because I just walked past it not knowing it was there, and I was like, I definitely don't want to look at that, so I'll keep walking away.
I think I can handle needles, but scalpels, was there scalpel? Is that like blood plays where they sometimes do little cuts and stuff?
Mostly needles, but I didn't look at it long enough to know specifically what's going on. I just saw the blood and I'm like, not for me.
Fuck, it's so gnarly. Hey, I'm very squeamish about that sort of thing. Surely it would be quite a niche, like less common.
There's
pretty extreme.
There's a couple of events that happen in the Kink Fest that are a bit more for the extremists as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like the couple of events I've been, or the kink spaces I've sort of seen, have been pretty like general admission. Like, lots of the more common, just sort of a bit of impact play, some bondage, some pretty classic BDSM stuff. I feel like I've heard of the other kinks and slightly more hardcore or extreme or confronting things, but I haven't seen that in person.
Yeah. And then you've got your like temples, which are a bit more like your conscious spiritual community and a bit more on the like beginner friendly spaces, and they're a bit more into like the embodiment and the consent and the workshops and work your way into the integration, whereas these kind of like venue club events are very, and this is something I think you might have actually mentioned it in your episode, but it's something that I find sometimes a little bit dysregulating and curious on the whole consent model. Is like sometimes in these spaces it's not easy to consent properly and to have those conversations. You've got loud music, you've got often substances depending on what event it is. Some are not always substance events, some of them, is there a bar here tonight? Yeah. So some of these events don't have bars on site, you know.
I'd imagine surely events with like things like blood play or the more sort of risky ones, like surely you couldn't be serving alcohol and having substances around. That's hectic, dude.
Yeah.
That seems kind of irresponsible. It seems like such...
It's a hit and miss. It's obviously when you enter into these doors, it's play at your own risk. It's be mature, self-responsibility and ownership. But like there's people that slip through the cracks, and I've been in positions where I've seen violations happen, and that's what these consent angels are for, is there to make sure that, you know, you can feel safe and come to people, and they'll kick somebody out immediately if you ever come to them with anything.
I mean, there'd be so many like risks inherent in trying to run events of any sort with sex on premises or kink, or so it is kind of like it's so interesting hearing about fuck yeah,
it's a fun little world to explore though.
I've been loving chatting to people. Like, thanks for sharing. I love hearing, because like I'm such a tourist. Like I can dip my toe in and I'll kind of go and have a little squeeze, but like, you know, I'd probably low-key freak out if I saw blood play. I mean, fuck knows, I don't know, but like you know, those sorts of things are really like more for advanced players. And I'm never going to be that with those kinds of kinks.
At the other V&V, did you see any intense impact play?
Nah, it was all super chill. It was all just like pretty standard, nothing I haven't seen before, like bit of spanking, like but then again, I also wasn't in the kink dungeon the entire night watching everything that went on. You know, I wasn't really loitering around like sussing out. I sort of passed through and mostly I just saw sort of flagellation and spanking and stuff like that, some bondage, but I just got the feeling that it was more of an entry level, more beginner friendly space as opposed to some of those other events for more like advanced and like very, very committed.
When I was chatting to Mark about it, he was saying like it was originally, V&V was originally meant to be a swingers event. And now they're slowly trying to bring in the kink stuff. And I was like, I didn't really think about that, because the first couple that I've been to, they like the boys brought all of the kink stuff there, and I was like, it's very balanced out to me. And I guess the swinger vibe comes a bit more from the crowd. It's definitely a bit more heteronormative, and people kind of come with friends or partners, but they kind of stick to that crew. It's not really like bodies on bodies on bodies kind of vibe. It's very much like, you know, little groups stick together and move around the space together. That's why I find sometimes the smaller private parties are a bit more engaging, because you kind of have more of an opportunity to, it's more intimate, you get more opportunity to like connect with people, and you can meet new people and play with new people. So
yeah, I feel like I'd probably find it too confronting going to a small one, because it's more conspicuous if I'm not like having sex or engaging or whatever.
And sometimes it can feel more intimidating with a smaller space, because you feel like you're obliged to, or what if you don't find anyone attractive, or what if you don't want to play? It's a bit harder to have those things than just be on a dance floor and just pretend like you didn't see somebody kind of vibe. But it's, I don't know. That's interesting.
It's fucking sick. And I was chatting with someone on the dance floor just earlier, describing the aerial performance that they'd seen, and one of her friends who came up while we were chatting was like, oh, I've done that. I've been suspended from hooks, and it was the most incredible experience of my entire life. And I was like, stop right there. we need it. I mean, if you're comfortable, come and you tell me about that, but on the podcast. And she's still deciding if she feels comfortable.
Was this tonight?
This is tonight,
Yeah, cool.
just before I bumped into you, literally
Nice.
just before I bumped into you. So, like, imagine she could be the angel, the cross-legged angel. Like,
could be.
who fucking knows?
Yeah.
There can't be that many people in Melbourne that
And
do,
the kink scene is small enough that, like, you know, a lot of the people in the last couple of years that I've only dabbled in this space, I've only been in this space for the last couple of years, but I've gotten pretty intertwined with a lot of, like, people, big people in the space, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's not that big, and so people work their way up. A lot of my friends are performers, you know. Mark, who runs all of the kink equipment, he's a good friend of mine, and, like, it's just...
Yeah, it's a community.
It's a community, and it's like, actually, my friend who I'm here with, I told you I went to my first sex party in a long time last weekend, and it was a private event, and, like, it's people that I've known in these spaces for the last few years, and it's been, like, it was actually just so nice just to go back and connect with all these people, and it is a community. It's a lot of, like, and the diversity is really cool, because, like, I feel like in our other scenes that there's, you know, there's a bit of a stereotype where you find similar looking people, right? But in the kink space, it's so diverse because the only thing that everyone has in common is something that's often quite taboo and quiet and behind the scenes. So you see all these pockets of people that you're like, okay, so you work in a 36th floor high-rise corporate building, you wear a suit every day to work, but then you also get somebody who's from a small country town who, you know, felt like a misfit their whole life and lives a double life, and you also have such different body shapes, sizes and ages and ethnicities, and like there's nothing really that you would stare at that person on the street being like, I know what you're doing tonight, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. Which I think is kind of cool.
Oh, that was like the thing that I liked the most, was like this sort of this sense of like camaraderie, like this secret society, like kind of vibe of like this is you know, I'm saying I'm hanging out and chatting with these people in lingerie that like none of their family or their boss or their like friends know that they attend to these things, and like we're here having a chat, and we now share this kind of secret that like we both go to these things, and it seemed like everyone was really like warm and welcoming to new people in the space, because like the one thing you have in common is that it is quite fringe and quite stigmatized and taboo. So it was like this really nice feeling, almost like when I was describing it to a friend the other day, like when you are like traveling overseas, especially somewhere that English isn't the sort of native language, and then you just bump into someone from your hometown and you haven't seen anyone that sounds like you and that you know gets shit and for ages, and even if you weren't really friends, you're fucking friends when you're both backpacking and you bump into each other overseas, and it just there's this immediate camaraderie and like shared experience that creates some sort of like safety or like rapport between you. And I feel like, you know, you can get a bit of that with like people here being like, like we are both at this really fringe, really niche, really kind of in the shadows in a way type of space. Anyway, interesting. So how was the smaller sex party that you went to? Because like
last week,
like when you go to those things that are smaller, like what happens if you get there and you're not attracted to anyone and you don't really want to?
This specific event was more of a social gathering party vibe, and then the upstairs area was where the play was happening. So again, I've been to a few different ones that have a different flow. There's some that are solely like, okay, everyone that's walking through this door has the intention that they want to get their fuck on. And so there's some that like have like intentional get to know you games. There's some that you know, make you partner off with somebody and force interact, not in a sexual way, but just like start the conversation cards and like how to interact with people, and then, you know, it will just ease into it a bit more. But this one was more of like a dinner party, and then you just got your sex on if you wanted to. And so that's kind of nice because it was a bit more like less pressure. You know, you could just go there to socialize and hang out and not.
That's why I like these ones, because there's no pressure. There's enough people here that it's not obvious if you're not fucking. You can just socialize and, you know, be a tourist or a voyeur.
Which I still think is amazing that you came into your first one just completely solo, because when I came into the space I was like, what do I do? How do I feel comfortable? Like, oh my God. Where are my safe people? How do I chat to anyone?
It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
It's intense. I think it was I was aided by a couple coming up to me and recognizing me from the podcast and like being just so friendly and welcoming, and then after that bumping into a couple of people I knew, and like we're not like close friends outside of here, but it was like this instant like oh hi guys, like, and they were like, that was their first one as well, so I had like a few people that like were my safe people, so that helped a lot, because I was a little bit discombobulated when I first entered. Just didn't know how to engage with it.
Well, like I said, I've been coming to these spaces for pretty consecutively over the last 3 years. Well, when I say last, for about 2 years in the space of 3 years, but I have taken about an 18-month hiatus, and this is my first big event that I've been to, other than the one I went to last weekend, which was a private event. And I've had a lot of opportunities to go to things, but I've choked last minute. Mark's asked me to help him in his store numerous times, and
I remember you saying that.
I'm just like, yeah, cool, I'll feel it out, but like it's just not the space that I've been at, which is fine. Like a lot of people go through in and out of these spaces. The community is like very tight knit, so like a lot of people like, this is my whole identity vibe, and this is where I feel my my main source of socializing comes from these spaces. But I've definitely become got a lot of people in this pocket that I would feel like really close. Like my friend that I arrived here with, I met through these spaces, and we are now like so tight, we're sisters, which is really beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
yeah, sick. Yeah.
No, it's cool. It's cool that you've kind of like stepped into this space.
Thanks. Yeah, look at me go. Honestly, I'm just trying to say yes to life, baby. I know, I mean, given my mental health lately, I kind of can't believe I fucking even attempted. Yeah, I feel like I'm always like one step away from a mentee bee and fucking full breakdown at a sex party, but I'm still doing it.
I got a little bit dysregulated last weekend, and I had to remove myself from the spaces. There was a very full frontal show happening with a very small crew that were just staring intently at this thing on the stage, and I was just like...
And that's it, darling hearts. Thanks for stopping by the Labia Lounge. Your bum groove in the couch will be right where you left it, just waiting for you to sink back in for some more double L action next time. If you'd be a dear and subscribe, share this episode, or leave a review on iTunes, then you can pat yourself on the snatch, because that's a downright act of sex-positive feminist activism, and you'd be supporting my vision to educate, empower, demystify and destigmatize with this here podcast. I'm also always open to feedback, topic ideas that you'd love to hear covered, questions or guest suggestions, so feel free to get in touch via my website or over on Insta. You can also send me in TMI stories to be shared anonymously on the pod. My handle is FreyaGraf_the Labia Lounge, if my account hasn't been deleted for being too sex positive, which, is always a possibility with censorship. But just in case the chronic censorship finally does obliterate my social channels, I'd highly recommend going and joining my mailing list and snagging yourself some fun freebies for the trouble at www.freyagraf.com/freebies. Anyway, later, labial legends. See you next time.